Hey, what's up, team? We're here today. We'll just start that over. Hey, what's up, team? Been getting a lot of questions about mobility, specifically hip mobility. So today I'm going to put together a little video you guys can do at home. It's going to have some test and retest, and it's going to have some variations for you guys to think about for all the other stretching and mobility that you work on for all the body parts. So we're going to actually start kind of strangely with our shoulders. So the opposite of our hips is our shoulders. The better our shoulders are functioning, the better neurologically our hips are going to be allowed to function. So we're going to start with a quick little warm up of shoulders. What I want you to do, take your arms straight back, internally rotate them. You're going to make 5 or 6 circles in one direction, 5 or 6 circles in the other direction. You're going to take them up. You're going to do the same thing up here. Squeeze them as far back as you can. 5 or 6 circles, 5 or 6 circles. Internally rotate. 5 or 6 circles, 5 or 6 circles, and then 5 or 6 big, giant circles, both directions. All right. Once you've got that done, we're going to test out your squat. So all I want you to do, 10 to 15 plain old squats. And what I want you to do while you're doing these squats is assess how your squat feels. Do you feel pain? Do you feel like you're getting into the very, very bottom? Whatever you feel, just make mental notes of it. And I'm going to come back to that test. The test is just going to be do some squats, see how it feels after we do each of these drills. All right. Next thing we're going to do is going to warm up all of the little adductor, abductor, hip flexor, hip extensors. All right. We'll start with the easy ones that we can do seated. Hands on your knees. One at a time. I want you to lift and resist. Lift and resist. You're just creating that isometric contraction. I want you to get 3 reps, each side, 5 or 6 hard squeezes. Sorry, 5 or 6 seconds of hard squeezing. Same thing here. You're going to bear hug your legs. You're going to squeeze out into it really hard, 5 seconds. Rest and relax. Repeat 3 times. Okay. Next, you're going to squeeze here, or put your fist together, or if you've got some object, you can put it here. But it's super easy to just use your fists. Fists here, squeeze in with your knees, 5 to 6 seconds, rest, repeat 3 times. All right, last thing is gonna be standard glute bridge on the floor. I'm not gonna demo that because it'll be a little bit off of the camera. 10 to 15 glute bridges. After that, all the necessary muscles should be firing and feeling at least engaged and turned on. After that, we're gonna test again. 5 more squats, see how those are feeling. All right, so if you need to pause the camera here or pause the video here, go ahead and do so, do all those things. Next thing, what we're gonna do, once you've done all of that and assessed your current squat comfort and depth, is we're gonna work on hip circles. So focusing here on the hip, what we're gonna do, let me face this way. You're gonna take your back leg and put it way far back. All right, I'm actually gonna change the camera real quick. All right, so what you're gonna do, foot is back, heel on the ground, knee locked. This is the moving hip. What I want you to do is take your toe and internally rotate it as far as it will go. So we'll be back here, internally rotate the toe without twisting the hips. And then what you're gonna do, move the hips around. We did this on a video not too long ago. You're gonna get 5 or 6 circles in each direction. Then what you're going to do, you're gonna hold on to an object for balance, and you should probably hold on for balance on the other one, is you're gonna lift your foot, internally rotate it, and you're gonna make big D's. So straight back, out and around, repeat. Out and around, repeat. 5 or 6 circles in one direction, then you're gonna go the other way. repeat. What's gonna happen is when you're first starting to do this, when you come through here, your foot's gonna wanna do that. Your job is to fight it. Keep that internal rotation throughout the entire movement, okay? So you're gonna get 5 or 6 circles on each side in each direction, all right? After that, reassess, okay? So you're gonna be doing the closed chain hip circle, 5 or 6 circles, right into the open chain, 5 or 6 circles each direction. Do both sides, reevaluate your squat, see how that's feeling. All right, next thing what we're gonna do is good old pigeon stretch. Everybody's done this at some point. You're gonna put your foot, I'm gonna do the lazy pigeon version where you sit on a couch or whatever, so I don't have to worry about this back hip flexor resisting my front hip mobility. So I'm just gonna focus solely on this. But the thing that we tend to miss is that my hip, we just demonstrated, goes in, rotates, what, 90-ish degrees at the very least, all right? And it goes 180 degrees around in circles. So if we just do a static stretch in one plane and don't account for any variables, then we're only doing one out of, do that multiplication, tons and tons of different ranges of motion, okay? So what we're gonna do today is start varying our static stretch into a little bit of a dynamic stretch, a little bit of static stretch, and we're gonna add some activation into those stretches. So, standard pigeon, shin across, hips facing your shin. Nice and easy. Straight down would be standard pigeon movement. What we're going to do today is vary it with different angles. So what I'm going to start with, I won't fall off this bench, so I'm going to put my foot out here, is I'm going to go forward, standard stretch, I'm going to come back, change the angle, static stretch, back up, change the angle. What you're going to feel is a very different stretch in a different part of your hip each time you change the angle, okay? So I want you to experiment, find the directions that feel most useful to you, okay? Kind of standard operating procedure would be to do 10 to 15 seconds, hold per section, and I'm pointing to the 3 directions, but there's really like all of the variables in between. 10 to 15 seconds per spot. But what we're gonna add in addition to changing direction is an activation while you're in that stretch position. So I'm gonna go back to center just for simplicity. You're gonna lean forward and you're gonna simply activate your stretched muscle. So that might mean, depending on where you're feeling the stretch, that might mean I'm gonna try to push my leg straight down. It might mean I'm gonna push it out. It might mean I'm going to squeeze it in. But what I'm going to do is, as I'm moving into that stretch, I'm gonna activate something, okay? The activation is, what it does is it teaches your body to function in this new range of motion. If you just passively move your arm into it, or whatever, your hip into a position, and then you passively stand back up, your body's not really gonna learn how to function in that new position. Conversely, if you go into a new position, you activate, you engage, you squeeze, I'm doing all these things with my hip, now my brain is learning, okay, I know where this position is now, plus I'm getting input from my body about what it feels like to be in this position and act, all right? So what that's going to do is that's going to reteach the brain how to function in that new position at all. Whereas passively, you just move through the range of motion and you move out. Maybe your brain paid attention, maybe it didn't, but when you're actually actively telling it to pay attention, it does, and it goes a lot further, okay? So, all the variations, I want you to spend like 2 minutes on this leg, and that's gonna be varying between
Changing positions, again, changing rotation of trunk. You can move your knee in, you can move your knee further out. Experiment, find the things that feel the most useful. Useful is not always the thing that feels the most comfortable. Don't go so far that your knee hurts. If your knee starts to hurt, ease up a little bit, put something under your knee so that it's supported. Another thing you can do is flex your toe into your knee, and that will activate the tibia anterior and kind of stabilize the knee structure a little bit so you won't feel that weird pulling sensation if you're getting that, okay? So that's gonna be your pigeon stretch. Spend 2 minutes on one side, 2 minutes on the other. Explore all of the areas. Don't just go forward and sit there, okay? Next thing we're gonna do is the femoral nerve glide. The femoral nerve, after you do the pigeon, test out your squat. See how that's feeling, see if that feels better, see if you're getting lower, see if it got worse, and then you'll be able to evaluate. So the next thing we're gonna do is the femoral nerve glide. It's the nerve that goes into the quad, innervates the quad, make it work. Also, well, the hip flexor is the quad. So it goes into the hip flexor. Those of us with tight hip flexors sit a lot. This nerve glide will start to move. When tissue sits and stagnates around a nerve, it has a tendency to kind of smush the nerve down, and then the nerve doesn't move. And when it doesn't move, it doesn't conduct signals to and from the muscle to the brain like it should. So what we're gonna do right now is learn how to stretch it out and then kind of floss it around, move it around, etc. How do you want to phrase that? So let me put you back up here. All right, so from here, what we're gonna do is step into kind of a standard hip flexor stretch position. Just nice and easy, back foot nice and relaxed. You can put it up on a bench if you can't find this stretch later. So you can put it up on a bench. You can also put your knee up on a bench. I'll demo from here since this looks kind of cool. All right, so from here, what you're gonna do, rock forward till you feel a little bit of a hip flexor stretch, all right? From there, you're gonna pull your belly button in, and that's gonna increase this stretch through here. From this position, I'm not going to hinge forward at the hip because I need this to all be maintained, maintain that stretch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll from the top of the spine down, one vertebra at a time. This is still curved backward. Right around there, you feel it intensify. It will be different for each person. You may just tuck your chin and it's just zinging. You may fold a little bit further before it zings, depending on your nerves' happiness level at the moment. But regardless of how deep you have to go, hip stretch, belly button back, slowly roll your head down until it zings. Once it zings, go up an inch, down an inch, up till it goes away, down till it zings, up till it goes away, down till it zings. Intensity level 4 or 5, right? You're pulling directly on the nerve, and you do not want to pull that nerve off really or out really hard and irritate it. So pull gently, floss 6 or 7 of the spinal flexion movements. Super simple. Switch sides. After you've done that, reevaluate. Is my squat better or worse? Does it feel good? All right. Next, we're going to work on the tibial nerve, the one that goes down the back side here. A lot of the sciatic, well, it's part of the sciatic nerve. A lot of sciatic pain that people have is often just an entrapment kind of through the hamstring where tissue, again, has smashed around your nerve and it's conducting the wrong signals to and from. It's not actually an injury, it's just there's some restriction that you can't really identify. I'm going to show you how to kind of fix that. So,
toe position, let's do this. Big toe curls up, pinky toe curls up, so that's called everting, where I'm taking my right pinky toe and curling it up and around. It can only go as far as it can go, so you just hold that position. Next, you're gonna internally rotate your foot. So I've got dorsiflexion, eversion, pulling the pinky toe up this way, internal rotation, and then my leg is set. Do not change that position throughout this whole movement. Okay, from here, I'm gonna lengthen through the spine, and down here, I'm gonna hinge. All right, for me, I don't have to go very far before I feel something light up on the back. That's my tibial nerve. Feel it light up. All right, from here, I'm gonna maintain from here down exactly as is, and I'm gonna roll the spine, same basic principle. Roll the spine down from the top. Breathe as naturally as possible. Until you find the zing, go up an inch, down an inch, up an inch, down an inch, up an inch, down an inch. 5 or 6 little zings should be sufficient. Shake your legs out, do the other one. Walk you through it one last time. Get a close-up of my feet. So, big toe curls up, pinky toe curls up, as far as it will go. Whole leg rolls inward, leg straight, hip square, hinge at the hip. This does not change. Do not let it relax. Hold that tension and just control it from the upper body. Hinge, move the spine. You can't see it, but just know that this is the foot position. Cool. And just like all the rest of them, reevaluate your squat, see how it feels. Feels better, feels worse. All right? Last thing we're gonna do, that our nerves have been loosened, is a hip pendulum, okay? It's gonna look like this. What I'm not doing is I'm not moving my leg actively back and forth. What I'm gonna do is passively hold this up in the air. I mean, I gotta hold it actively up in the air, but it just sits there, and I'm gonna shake my hips. Okay, definitely hold on to something for balance on this. But use your trunk, twisting back and forth, to create that hip pendulum. So this should feel like you've got a big heavy boot on, and it's just swinging back and forth. And you're making it swing by shifting your hips, okay? Once you've got that figured out, how to do that in the front, try it out to the side. Okay? All we're doing is taking that joint, moving it around in the socket, now that everything around it is loose, and finalizing the mobility for the day of the hips. Okay? Try that hip pendulum out. Try your squats again. By now, we should be way down in the bottom of the squat. And that's all I got for you today. See you guys soon.